Hello everyone and welcome to our Let's Play series of Torment, Tides of Numenera. This is Colonel RPG as usual, and I'm very happy that you chose to join me today here in Surgeon Slump that we'll leave very, very briefly. Yeah, still can't leave. Need to click over there. It's all fine. But last episode, it's fine because I click over there. Last episode, we fixed Aligern. Well, I think I didn't really fix Aligern. As in, I've kind of fixed Eritas, but Aligern's problems kind of run deeper. And I think his mission is either going to be concluded after the game, so we're going to get an ending for him, or we're actually going back to Sagas Cliffs, but I haven't seen proof of that in anywhere. I haven't looked at walkthroughs, but I have looked at a page that has all the loading screens for this game, and there's the locations that we go to, and I took a glance at the bottom pages, and we only have like 5 more locations to go, of those that we haven't been to. And the Memo Vita Palace, I believe, is going to be where the game is going to end, or we're going back to Sagas Cliffs, and I would enjoy that very, very much. But the thing is, he needs to go back to Sagas Cliffs, and we need to talk to him as well. So let's do it. I need to talk to you, Aligern. Not you, Eritas.
I don't know how to thank you for your help with the frame.
Oh man, it's
with the
fine.
tattoos, with my family. I know I haven't been the easiest companion, or the most trusting. I hope now you know why I behaved as I did.
For the first time, the pain in Aligern's eyes is gone. The tight lines that surround his mouth have loosened, and something that looks almost like hope struggles to creep into his expression. I wish we'd known sooner. I'd have stopped using the tattoos if my family, my friends are damaged. I'll guess we'll see what happens. Yeah, I guess we'll see what happens. But that's that. I think we're gonna get, it's all about the ending, and we get like a little, I don't know how the game ends. If it probably is gonna use just kind of a industry standard at this point, and it's a good thing that it is an industry standard. It's a bad thing that nobody cared for Fallout 1 and Fallout 2 and Arcanum, and actually Temple of Elemental Evil has the same thing, I believe. But there are a few, basically, all praise Fallout 1 and 2 for giving the endings that we now see in many RPGs. Basically, little, vignettes, as it were, for each thing that we do. But yeah, that's gonna be that, Aligern. Thank you. Yeah, let's go. Yeah, but before we go, I need to level up. I'm now tier 4. Will we get to tier 5 right now? Because tier 5 was added in the last patch. The patch that broke the game kind of a little bit for me. We are not. Well, we might. Let's see. Increase stat pools. I'm gonna go with might if I can. Right there. Just to balance me out a little bit. We have, oh, yeah, I have reached tier 5. Right there. It says right there. And of course, I never read that because I'm talking and looking at other things. Mostly when I'm talking, I'm looking at the things that I'm gonna talk about next, so that's why I sometimes skip stuff like that. But yeah, I looked over there, it's well level 5 or tier 5. So we have oh, by the way, they added tier 5 abilities, so I'm looking at the bottom one. Let's see. Automatically succeed on the next quick fingers or smashing task, but it consumes action. Hedge magic, that's an interesting one. You snap your fingers and knots untangle themselves. That's a pretty interesting thing. Smashing task and quick fingers. I don't think I want that, but it's an interesting thing. Successful attack. When you kill an enemy, immediately make a bonus attack against the nearest enemy. Yeah, that's for Eritas. Maybe. Maelstrom. This is an ability. What? I don't have this yet? I don't need that yet. Mind control. Oh, that's pretty cool. On hit confers controlled. Yeah, I might go for that. Let's go for that. Oh, I clicked hedge magic. Animate balefire. Oh yeah, yeah. That's cool as well. Plague Spirits. Infuse critical hits with entropic force, converting disrupted on top of the normal effects, but that's for when you strike, so not you can cast that on somebody else. Gravity manipulation, space warping, pulse, that pushes and pulls creatures in range. Yeah, I don't need that. And then everybody else. Scanning array though. That's let's get scanning array instead. Didn't I get that before, or did I get that for somebody else? Yeah, I think I got that for somebody else. There we go. So that's you leveled up. Let's see. You are still in level tier 4. Yep. Extra effort maybe could be a good thing for him. Extra edge could be a good thing as well. Let me see what his weapon is. He's got a might weapon, so that's yeah, I might go for extra edge on his might right there. So he hurts a little bit more. He's already pretty good, but he actually benefits from edge a lot more than Erodies does. You're tier 3 now. Good. Extra effort right there. Lucky Combatant, plus 15% on attacks. Cipher limit plus 1. This is selectable, only one of them. All other party members get lower machinery tasks plus 5. I don't need that. That's Tall Tale Teller. That's an interesting one, but I don't need that because I'm amazing at that already. And he got plus 15% evasion. I would rather go with attacks because I can confer him defense and armor and all that sort of stuff. Resourcefulness. This is 1 point. We got plus 1 training level in Cipher use skill. Don't really need that. We got Flex skill is active and gain plus 5 bonus for each level effort applied to tasks it affects. For the Flex skill, what the hell is the Flex skill? Can you tell me what that is? When Flex skill is active. Oh, okay, so I don't really need that. Ignore the flanked Fettle when... Oh, no, okay, I'm gonna go with Resourceful, because that's the thing I actually need. And we got Quick Fingers and Stealth. I think that's a good thing. Oh, I actually just gave it Quick Fingers instead of Stealth. Which is okay, because Quick Fingers is actually used. I thought I could pick 2, but... There we go. It's all good. It's good. I would have preferred Quick Fingers, I think. So there we go. We got the level ups done. Let's go to the next area over. And that's gonna be the, what's it called? I don't know. What is this? An enormous statue of a woman wielding a hammer stands here. Its lower half lost to the shadow in the depths of the bloom. Yeah, those depths. So let's go on in. This is the Shrine of Chilla, or Chilla, what something. It should say down here. It looks a pretty small area by the loading screen. It is, indeed. And it's all inside her head. I thought it was... that makes sense. This is the Chilla, or Chilla. Actually, what is it called? Chilla, yeah. Chilla is the... I think the cast-off that was responsible for the rebellion from the slaves... I mean, the slave rebellion against the slave owners' families or something of Sagas Cliffs. These sturdy jugs contain a slimy, viscous fluid. A tendril of bloom flesh squirms around in one of them. What about that one? Words dance across the face of this scroll in a script so tiny you can't quite make it out. Only the title is legible. The Chronicles of Chilla, the Great, Volume 6. Or Chilla the Great, Volume 6. Okay, how about up here? That's Volume 2. Yeah. What about over there? It's not clear if the items on this table are intended for food, or preparation, or ritual display, or both. Okay. This polished skull is chipped and pierced in many places, only it has no teeth, suggesting that it swallowed its prey whole. Oh, that's a good point. I wouldn't have made a connection there, but that it makes sense. That's, yeah, things without teeth. Yeah. Rumpled blankets and rags lies on the floor, exuding a sour, sweaty odor. This is probably where some of the cultists sleep. Yeah, I was gonna say. This shelf holds a number of odd offerings: a skull, a sealed jar, some candles, a metal cup, and the shriveled remains of a small, hairless creature. It is. Ugh. You kind of would mistake that for, like, actual food, but it just remains. We got cultists up here, and we got Ragmin over there, and the observant spec that I'm gonna talk to immediately. But let me just make a comment over here. You noticed how I said I was gonna say? The thing is, when I'm reading a line, I don't read ahead too much. I read ahead a little bit just to give me a little bit of a buffer to be able to just ad-lib all of this stuff, because that's what I'm doing. I make assumptions on what I'm reading. And I was gonna say, like, oh, it's sweaty and all that, it's probably where somebody sleeps. And when the line next to it says that, I sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes I say, yeah, I was gonna say that, or I comment about that. This is a little bit of an insight into the Let's Play thingy. But this is very easy to exploit. I can look cool and smart by doing this. I can just, like, for example, this thing. Oddly, it has no teeth. And then suggesting that it has swallowed its prey whole, and I can say, oh, I made that assumption already when I saw that it was no teeth. Actually, in that one, it's kind of tricky because it's very, very close to the, you know, the thing that tells you to have the assumption is very close to the actual assumption. But still, I could do that. It's just telling you, and I don't. I'm honest. You need to believe me. I'm honest. I don't lie, ever. I do actually, but. Only when it fits the, like, oh, I don't know. Well, it fits the character and all that sort of stuff. But it's on these things I try to be, you know, I mean, there's no reason for me to say what I said. You know, I was gonna say that. You know, it's just, you know, I'm telling you my impression. There's no reason to give you an impression that's not mine. Let's see. The observant speck. The observant speck, in a shadowy corner of the shrine lurks an olden woman. Olden woman? Man. Elder woman, I suppose. So tiny and unremarkable that she... that kind of fits the name then. So tiny and unremarkable that she blends into the gloom. She's been watching you since you arrived, following you with bright, intense eyes. You notice that one of her arms is missing at the elbow. He's here, she thinks. Greetings. The whispers told me you were coming, cast off. They often do, when someone they regard as interesting finds their way to the bloom. Her voice is soft and shifting, as if everything she says is echoed by the chittering voices of the bloom. Suddenly she is at your side, one small hand touching your arm, her eyes probe yours. Did you come here with purpose? Do you know what place this is? You realize that this shrine does feel familiar, as if you, or perhaps the changing god, have been here before. Fantastic 100% check for no expense whatsoever. You scan the room, searching for anything that might seem familiar. A metallic gleam catches your eyes from the nearby slab of stone. It lies partly buried beneath a motley pile of offerings, but the unusual shape of the metal sparks a memory. The old woman follows your gaze in the memory. He left that as an offering. Your sire did, when he was here. No, actually, that's not in the memory. You can almost feel the weight of the device in your hand. With a sudden, jarring clarity, you see the chamber as it was 40 years past, when the changing god stood before a group of robed bloom cultists, offering the device in trade for information. And in the corner, an elderly woman, bird-like, with shining eyes. This woman you've just met, or someone much like her, was at the shrine then too. He pored over every scroll. Is that how it's written? I thought it was like poured, as in you pour water, but I suppose that doesn't make much sense. Well, maybe it kind of does, maybe, if you pour your attention over, yeah, whatever, because, whatever, doesn't matter. She whispers half to herself, wanting to learn how Chilla forged a friendship with a bloom, a bond that imposed no price upon her, or so he thought. And now, here you are, in the shrine of Chilla the Great, Chilla Silverskin, Chilla the Bride of the Hammer, and I am her observant speck. Oh, so when the changing god was here, what did he want from the bloom? To create a portal to another world, a place called the Ascension. He believed that the crystals of that world, yeah, that makes sense. We've been there, of course, and we know all about that. Yeah, the crystals of that world would save him from death, so he descended to the bloom's heart and forged a bond of sorts. From that bond, a new maw was born. It took your sire to the world he sought. Oh. Where? What world is that? I didn't understand that. All we got from the Ascension was that he got attacked, and then he basically buggered off of the body that it was in, created another cast-off. But then, what does that mean? What happens to the changing god? I don't really know. It's something to do. I guess it's something to do with the chamber that we were or might still be trying to fix since the beginning of the game. Now, just to remind you of what happened, basically in the Ascension, he had the amulet there, and I believe that might be the key for the Bloom's liking to us or something. But I guess I'll find out. I don't know what Dracogen is gonna say. We need to go to him and give him the amulet, but I don't know if I can keep it because I really don't like Dracogen. He says, "Oh, I always tell the truth." Oh, you do you? You think that's gonna shield you for me just because you always tell the truth? Yeah, I like the truth, but I also don't care about you. So yeah, we'll see. Anyway, well, does my character like the truth? My character doesn't like the truth. So yeah. See, I don't like the truth. That's one of the lies that I was telling about before. It feats the character. My character doesn't care about the truth. So if Dracogen is gonna shield himself behind that particular excuse, as he has done in the past, I'm gonna kill him. I'm just gonna kill him, and I'm gonna force myself into the Memovita. Oh, wait a minute. That sounded weird. No, that's not what I mean. I'm not gonna rape her. I'm gonna force myself into the place where the Memovita is. That's what I mean. Because I was confused. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So for every bond, the bloom always exacts a price, she says. If it could not feast upon your sire, then it will find a way to devour one of his offspring. More than one, perhaps, and her eyes glitter. Maybe that's what he did. Now that I think of it, maybe that's what he did. He made a new cast-off with his own body that the bloom probably ate. Yeah, we'll see. What can you tell me about Chilla? Stories, she murmurs, passed from one speck to the next. So many stories told by so many tongues, too many to hold in my head. But the bloom remembers, and it whispers in my ears to remind me. Okay, tell me where she came from. The speck closes her eyes and cocks her head like a bird's, as if listening to the voices of the bloom. As she begins to speak, the faint chitters and whispers that always underline her words grow louder, twisting them around in your head and spawning images in your mind's eyes. And by the way, I think I still have the bloom touched or whatever. Speak to me, whispers, she thinks. Tell me again about Chilla. Look up, she says, high on the cliffs, a sturdy little house. The cliffs of Sagas flash before your eyes, crowded with old ramshackle homes. They cling to the rocks like spindly crabs high above the sea. One of them catches your eye, a pretty little house, freshly painted blue and green, in a solid nook of stone. I wonder if it's one of the houses that we saw that had fallen already. You guys remember when we were in the cliffs, in the actual cliffs? I think it was Cliffs or Cliff's Edge. Cliff's Edge is the name of it. Man, I remember that place. It's a good name. It's a good name. Yeah, because I remembered it. Oh, actually, I remembered it because it's a good name. Anyway, a man and a woman, she says, dwell inside. A father and a mother. 2 children they have. A girl and a boy. Maybe it was one of those. You guys, does this sound familiar? Now you can see the people too. The girl is tall for her age, robust and strong. Her brother is small and cautious and quick. One day, the father pulls a treasure from the sea. You can see the man in a fishing boat hauling a silvery cylinder out of his net, looking at it in wonder. He brings it home to his family. What shall I do with this artifact, he wonders, for I am a simple man, not a wizard or a sage. The man glances out the window of his house and sees his 2 children playing in the street. Artifacts bring trouble, he says to himself, and I have a family to protect. I'll bring this treasure to the boss of the town, and she will thank me for it. So the next day, the man gathers the treasure in a sack and sets out for the manor at the top of the cliffs. His daughter, Chilla, wants to go with him, but he shakes his head and goes alone. Yeah, it's kind of no, it's not the story. I was forgetting that this is the story of Chilla. Yeah, so Chilla wants to go with him. Okay, I imagine she actually did. Many weeks pass. The man never returns from the manor on the hill. Chilla asks everyone she knows, but no one has seen her father. One day, just as she and her brother leave their house in the morning, they hear a crack behind them. In your mind's eye, you can see the pretty little house pulling away from the cliff, its wooden supports snapping like twigs, bursting apart as it falls towards the sea. It strikes you as strange that this house, seemingly kept so much better than its neighbors, should collapse so suddenly. The children race back along the road, only to find that their house is gone, and their mother lies dead among the rocks. As her brothers curl up in the streets and weep... as her brother curls up in the street and weeps, Chilla stands beside him, gazing towards the manor at the top of the cliff. I know you did this, she whispers, and I know what you did to my father. The treasure you took from him is my birthright, and I will have it back. Oh, so that's what drove her? Vengeance? Maybe not. No, not vengeance. A desire to be extraordinary. The speck's voice is quiet again. The whispers receded, and you sense that these words are truly your own. Chilla believed that her parents were easy victims because no one knew who they were. If they had been prominent and well-known, the boss of Sagas wouldn't have dared to harm them. But they were small and simple folk, so no one cared when they died. That's an interesting interpretation. But she actually says, I will have it back. It's the birthright. Excuse the sort of, I swallow spittle. Yeah, she says, the treasure you took from him. Not from me. From him is my birthright, and she will have it back. It's not vengeance either, but it doesn't speak of this. Maybe she knows something else. For what else matters but to be known, she thinks. The changing god also knew this. That's interesting. Did he? Well, he did, but maybe. I don't know if it's magic or not, but the way he controls people is pretty impressive. But, you know, we've seen this in I think, a Meercaster or something. So yeah, tell me how Chilla found her way to the bloom. Once again, the spec cocks her head and closes her eyes. When she speaks, the cheater and whispers of the bloom spark images in your mind, and you can almost see the events when she describes. Speak to him as well, the cast-off. Show him the truth of the past. That's her thoughts. I can't really understand if that's the bloom's thoughts or her thoughts. Speak to me, whispers. No, it's gotta be hers. Oh, that's a continuation. Speak to me, whispers, and speak to him as well. Oh, I see. Look up. The two orphans climb the cliffs towards the manor high above. In your mind's eye, you see a brother and a sister in their late teens as they scale the sheer cliffs of Sagas. Above them, carved from the natural rock, looms a great walled house. It belongs to a woman, the boss of Sagas and the mistress of the bloom. So this was before the founding of the city, or was it because of the slaves thingies? That I mentioned before. I don't know. She who killed their parents and took their birthright for herself. Well, yeah, okay, so that kind of tells us that Chilla actually believed that she killed their parents, more than just actually taking their treasure. The girl is Chilla, tall, broad-shouldered, and flamboyantly dressed, like a glittering gem against the dull stone of the cliffs. The boy is her brother, Shade, slender and quick, cowled in black. Through the unguarded window they climb, slipping into the garden beyond. There, at its heart, is the artifact, their birthright. In your mind's eye, Chilla and Shade crowd on a ledge. You can see the artifact as they must have, a metallic cylinder fitted into a strange device. I wonder what it is. She leans forward, so eager to see what is rightfully hers, but the ground turns sleek and she falls, toppling into the garden, close enough to the artifact that she can almost reach. But she's snared into a net of rainbow light. You can see Chilla crumpled under the strange net, trapped, calling to her brother. Shade watches from the shadows. He makes no move to help. Betrayed, hisses the speck, led into a trap by her twin, but she couldn't have the artifact. At least she couldn't touch. The speck's voice strains. As it does so, you can feel Chilla straining, reaching a hand through the net. As her finger brushes the artifact, it flares with brilliant light, and it's gone. But not gone. Not really. It's part of Chilla now, changing her slowly from within. She can sense the change, but she doesn't know what it means. Not yet. Not as they lead her away. You catch a glimpse of Chilla's being led in chains from the great house. She's cast into the bloom as a slave, and there, the speck smiles softly and warm. She meets me. Oh. Well, but it wasn't really you, right? No, not me. And she shakes her head slowly as if she isn't certain of her own words. It was another woman called the Speck, my namesake, the insignificant Speck. That's who she was back then. Okay, tell me what Chilla did to warrant such respect. In the dark, in the bleeding guts of the bloom, a score of young women crouch in a cell carved from the living flesh of the bloom. You can barely see the girls in your mind's eye, thin and tired, huddled against the fleshy walls, bound in chains. Who they were before doesn't matter. They're slaves now, doomed to labor in the dark. One day, someone new is brought to their cell and chained beside a small girl who calls herself the Speck. The old woman smiles. The new slave says her name is Chilla. Even in chains, she meets the guard's eyes and they look away. Already the bloom whispers in her ears. Chilla places her hands upon its flesh and strikes a bargain. You owe us, Chilla whispers to the bloom, for the slaves you've eaten, for the Speck's arm that you've devoured. You owe us something in return. Oh, wait a minute. She cut off her arm to make... Or did she give her arm to the bloom and that's how Anyway, the flesh trembles beneath her hand and opens. Beyond is a chamber full of weapons. Oh, so she is friend to the bloom and controls... okay, so that's what the changing god wanted, to open them all. That explains it. You catch a glimpse of Chilla passing blades and stranger armaments to the other girls in her cell. Chilla picks a glowing hammer for herself, or maybe the bloom does. It fits her hand like it was made for her, and it never leaves her side again. Then we gather together and make our plan to escape. When all of us are ready, Chilla starts hammering on the door to our cell. The guards come running and we fall upon them, cutting them down, tearing them apart. Then Chilla leads us from our prison, and we pour into the market, gathering more and more slaves to our banner. We kill every master we can find. So it is the slave revolution, yeah. In the market, we decide to make our stand. Chilla knows that her enemy, the boss of Sagas, the woman who killed her parents and turned her brother against her, can't ignore us. We form up into ragged lines, then we hear them. The roar of the soldiers, the tread of the heavy boots getting closer and closer. Somehow you can hear them too, along with the terrified murmurs of the slaves as they grip their weapons and prepare to fight for their lives. Noise! Confusion. The Spec's eyes are still closed, but she staggers back, raising a hand to defend herself against an invisible attack, as if she thinks she's in the midst of a battle. You can faintly hear the screams and cries, the clank of steel on steel. I stay by Chilla's side when the battle is joined. I try to guard her back, but she's struck. First by an arrow, then by a blade. Whenever they cut her flesh, silver scales grow over the wound, and she keeps on fighting. Chilla knows why. When she touched the artifact, her birthright, it became a part of her, changed her, so that she cannot be killed. She smiles, she raises her hammer, she crushes the skull of every soldier who stands against her. A shadow passes overhead. It's her traitorous brother, Shade, soaring on wings of flesh and steel, come to kill her at last. Wings of flesh and steel. This reminds me of the dragons that we saw in Sagas Cliffs. That were never explained, by the way, and I hope that it was cut content, because unless, I kind of, what I really hope for is that it's part of the lore of this setting, but if it isn't, then I hope it's cut content, because I really feel that the game should have been designed with that in mind, of explaining those things. Or at least have like a side quest that allows us to have a little bit of an insight into that. He strikes her once, twice, and again. The Spec's voice goes quiet. Each time, silver scales grow to cover the wound. Instead of getting weaker, Chilla grows stronger. She grabs him by the foot and smashes him into the ground. But instead of killing him, she speaks to him. It's a whisper, and I can't hear what she says. But Shade begins to weep. When she lets him go, he stays on the ground. The battle is won, and the enemy soldiers are running. Chilla goes to face the woman who killed her parents. I leave you with your life, she tells her, but not your name. Get out of here and never come back. You can almost see the broken woman, a feared warlord only hours before, fleeing alone in shame from the battle. The broken woman? Chilla goes to face the woman who killed her parents. Oh, okay, yeah, the woman who killed her parents, the leader of Sagas Cliffs. The Spec pauses and opens her eyes. That's where the story ends. Our enemy fled, and the bloom was ours. Sagas Cliffs was ours. Chilla became the first Memovita. We ended the trade in slaves, and Chilla... Did you? And Chilla ruled Sagas and all the lands around for half a century, until the bloom called her to its heart. Okay. Well, we have a lot of things to ask, but we're gonna need to ask them on the next episode. For now, I'm Colonel RPG, and this has been Torment, Tides of Numenera. I will see you again, Gastoff, she says. Yes, I really hope you've enjoyed it, and if you did, go ahead and leave a comment, like the video, but above all, as always, thank you so much for watching, and I hope I'll see you next episode. Bye-bye.